Hi YouTube. Okay, so with the 50th anniversary coming up next month of Walt Disney's passing, I kind of wanted to go over with you what Walt Disney, the person, means to me and his overall influence on the world, on our culture, and just kind of dive into this a little bit. So Walt Disney was an incredible individual, okay? I mean, we will never see the likes of him again. Nobody will ever be another Walt Disney. This is a man who created an empire around this little mouse, Mickey, obviously, and what he accomplished. I mean, he didn't get just like one thing right or two things right. This man, his entire career, hit home run after home run after home run. So I'm going to kind of dive into the history a little bit, and I'm also going to talk to you about what Walt means to me personally. Okay, so just to kind of start from the beginning, Walt was an innovator. Walt loved technology. He loved moving forward, pushing boundaries. This was who he was. He loved the nostalgia, but he always had like this like thirst to push the boundaries of animation. Obviously in 1928 with Steamboat Willie, first sound cartoon. Then he moved on to color with the Silly Symphonies, but that wasn't enough. Then he had the crazy idea of doing a full-length animated film. Everyone said Walt was crazy. Everyone said he was crazy. No one's going to sit through an hour-plus cartoon. I mean, this is nuts. The bankers were the bank. I believe it was Bank of America, where he was trying to get a loan out for Snow White. They were very skeptical. Roy Disney, his brother, was extremely skeptical. Nobody thought this could be possible. Roy Disney was very afraid that Snow White was going to actually sink the company, that it would be a laughingstock and it would sink the company. Walt was obsessed with the idea of Snow White. He pushed his artists, he pushed his story guys. They were so revved up to do this. And to give you the kind of the gravity of the situation, up until Snow White, nobody did an animated film, a full-length animated movie. Not even like attempted it. Okay, it was an insane proposition. Nobody even bothered to even try an animated film. Okay, so to give you an idea, back in the 30s, how crazy this was. People really did not think that it would be possible to have people sit in a theater for an hour plus and watch a cartoon. Before Snow White, basically cartoons were short little cartoons filled with gags, made you laugh. Walt wanted to do a full-length animated film that had the emotional gravity to make you laugh, but also make you cry, also feel other emotions in animation. People were very skeptical. Obviously, Snow White premiered. It was a huge success with audiences and critics alike. Huge success. But again, Walt was always pushing boundaries. That wasn't enough. He continued to push boundaries with films like Fantasia, okay, creating this whole concert experience married with animation. It was beautiful. Now, Fantasia was not a success originally when it was released in theaters. It actually ended up getting some critical word of mouth, and it really didn't do that well. But over time, it really became known as one of Walt's masterpieces. I mean, it's a gorgeous film, and so at the time, it wasn't well received, but later on, it really gained the respect it deserved. But again, that wasn't enough for Walt. He kept pushing. He kept pushing and pushing and pushing until the early 50s. Walt decided, you know what, I want to create something where where I can spend time with my kids, where I can have a good time along with my kids. And so he started to kind of play around with the idea of maybe turning this empty vacant lot over at the Disney Studios into a little miniature theme park, and it was just a few acres. It wasn't that big. And the concepts, you can actually go online and actually see some of the concept art for it. It was kind of like a little miniature Disneyland. There was like a train and various things in there. Well, in typical Walt fashion, this little park wasn't enough. He continued to get ideas, and his imagination went wild, and it eventually grew into its own full-fledged theme park that you see now in Anaheim, which is Disneyland, obviously. Again, just like Snow White, everyone thought he was crazy. How are you going to do a theme park and, keep it clean? In those days, amusement parks were really dirty, really, really filthy dirty, and they had a lot of crime and whatnot. Walt said his park was going to be different. It was going to be clean. It was going to be nice. People thought he was crazy. People thought this was going to be the end of his company. Disneyland was going to do him in. It would be a total failure. Okay? Walt opened Disneyland, and of course, it was not a failure. It was a huge mega success that spawned multiple parks around the world, and really altered the way that we vacation in America and around the world. I mean, Disneyland altered the way people spend time with their families. It was a total game changer. Okay? Walt Disney means a lot to me personally. I have probably spent almost every single birthday I've had at Disneyland. Okay, I've spent countless days and hours at Disneyland with loved ones and family. I have so many memories at that park and so many experiences that I cherish, all of which would not have been possible without Walt Disney, without his dream of creating this amazing place, without his ambition and his vision. I wouldn't have been able to have any of those experiences. Neither would you. None of us would be able to experience something great like that without this man. It really is, when you really step back and think about what he's accomplished and what he did in his life, you really appreciate it. I mean, things would be very different without Walt Disney. I mean, between the first animated film, in Disneyland, he really changed the landscape, and I'm really thankful for what he contributed. Really, really thankful. This is a man who, good wasn't good enough. He was constantly pushing and pushing and pushing. Once he accomplished one thing, he was on to the next thing. He was constantly innovating. So Walt Disney, genius, absolute genius. We will never see the likes of Mr. Disney again. It's really unfortunate that we lost him at such a young age. He was in his mid-60s when he unfortunately passed away. I believe it was in 1966. And I just think to myself, if he lived a full life, most people live to like mid-80s. If he would have lived a full life, what else would have been inside that man's head? What else would this man have accomplished in 20 more years of his life? I can't even imagine what else this man could have contributed if he lived a little bit longer. He's an incredible man. So much of my life has been influenced by him and his work. And I really do appreciate what he's done. But I want you guys to comment below, and I want you to kind of tell me what Walt means to you. How he's influenced your life, and your thoughts on Walt Disney, the man himself. What you think about what he's done and who he is. He's an incredible story. And I think so often we're so disconnected from the fact that Disney was a man. We think of Disney as a corporate entity, a company. But no, I mean it's a company. But he was a man. There was a man named Walt Disney who dreamed up this amazing company, who set this foundation for what we have today. You know, and I like to every now and then just kind of remind people of that, and I like to remind them that of how we got here. Okay, there wouldn't be Star Wars Land or Disneyland or Epcot or Walt Disney World or Shanghai Disneyland or any of this. None of this. Even animated films we might not have ever have gotten without Walt Disney. So I just want everyone to understand the gravity of what this man has done, and I also just wanted to thank him for everything. And again, post your thoughts below. Let me know what you think, and I really do appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. Bye bye.